Wait a second now. You don't know what version I'm gonna do. And there's nobody that likes all three versions. I'm just gonna play it for a while here. I want to get into it myself. Because when you play it for 2 years, 3 times a night, you gotta do a lot to get into it. I'll just be playing it for about 30 minutes here. Must have thought I was kidding about that 30-minute thing. By the way, this song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant, but Alice's Restaurant is not the name of the restaurant, that's just the name of the song. That's why I called the song Alice's Restaurant. We're just waiting for it to come around here and we'll start the song. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Now, the version of Alice's Restaurant that we're going to hear tonight is called the Alice's Restaurant Massacre Part 2, as opposed to Part 1 of the Massacre, or as opposed to the Alice's Restaurant Around the World, or as opposed to the Alice's Restaurant Massacre, or as opposed to the Alice's Restaurant Multicolored Rainbow Roach Fair, or any other version of Alice's Restaurant that you might have heard about or seen for yourself or been into yourself, or any other kind of various assorted pies. Assorted pies, by the way, is when you go into a restaurant and it says assorted pies for $0.25 and you order 1 assorted pies. We're just waiting for it to come around here again. It all started one day when my friend and I decided to go up and visit Alice at the restaurant. Yes, friends, it was 2 Thanksgivings ago, 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, when we went up to visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice doesn't live in the restaurant. She lives in the church nearby the restaurant, in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Facha the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they have a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be, seeing as how they took out all of the pews. And having all that room down there, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. And when we got up there, we found the place full of garbage and decided that it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the city dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage and put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on toward the city dump. But when we got there, there was a sign and a chain across the road saying closed on Thanksgiving. Well, we had never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before, and with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset to try to find another place to put the garbage. We didn't find one, though, until we came to a side road, and off on the side of the side road was a 15-foot cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff was another pile of garbage. And we decided that one big pile was better than 2 small piles, and rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Drove back to the church, had a Thanksgiving dinner that could not be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next day, when we got a phone call from Officer Obie, the cop. Now, Obie's not his real name, we just call him Obie, but he's still a cop, and he got on the phone. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage. Wondered if you knew anything about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obie, I sure do, and I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." Now, after speaking to Obie for about 45 minutes on the telephone, he finally arrived at the truth of the matter and said we had to go down and pick up the garbage. But first, we had to have a conference with him at the police officer station. So we got in the red VW microbus, took the shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on toward the police officer station. Now, friends, there was only 1 or 2 things that Obie could have done at the police officer station there. And the first thing was that he could have given us a medal each for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it anyhow. And the other possibility, of course, was that he could have bawled us out, told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't even counted on. Yes, we were both immediately arrested, handcuffed. I said, "Obie, I don't see how I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car." And we sat in the back seat there, and we drove to the, quote, scene of the crime, unquote. And I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this actually happened. They have 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car, but when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in the newspaper stories about it. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around for the last 25 years. They were taking plaster tire track, fingerprints, dog sniffing prints. They took 27 8x10 colored glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. They took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner of the garbage, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. After the ordeal at the scene of the crime, we was permitted to go back to the jail, and Obie said he was going to put us in a cell. He said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in a cell. Give me your wallet and your belt." I said, Obie, I can understand you wanting my wallet, so I don't have any money to spend in the cell, but what do you want my belt for? He said, kid, we don't want any hangings. He said, Obie, did you think I was gonna hang myself for littering? Obie said he was making sure, and friends, Obie was making sure, 'cause he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. And he took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the roll out the bars, slide down the roll through the bars, having to skate and get away. And Obie's making sure all right. And it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? The song about Alice. Alice came by and she bailed us out of jail with a few nasty words to Obie on the side. And we went back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next day when we had to go to court. Well, we walked in, sat down. Obie came in with his 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back, each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us, and sat down. A man came in and said, all rise. We stood up. Obie stood up with his 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back, each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And the judge walked in with a seeing-eye dog, and the judge sat down, the dog sat down, we sat down. Obie looked at the seeing-eye dog. And then it is 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us, and began to cry. Yes, friends, Obie came to the realization that it was a blind judge and he couldn't look at the 27 8x10 colored glossy photographs with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. And while Obie was crying on the bench, we was fined $50 and had to pick up the garbage in the snow. It was a typical case of American blind justice, and there wasn't much Obie could do about it. But that's not what I came to tell you about tonight. Just thought I'd mention it in passing. Came to talk about the draft. Now, we have a building here in New York City on Whitehall Street where you walk in to have your physical examination. Yeah, you walk in, they inspect you, inject you, detect you, infect you, neglect you, and select you in one day. I went in there, had to be there 7 o'clock in the morning one morning. I got good and drunk the night before, so I looked and felt my best that morning when I went in to have my physical examination. I wanted to look like the all-American boy from New York. I mean, I wanted to feel. I wanted to be the all-American kid from Coney Island. And friends, when I walked in that morning, I was the all-American kid from Coney Island, 'cause I was hung down, brung down, swung down, around, hung up. I walked in, I sat down, to give me a piece of paper. It said, kid, see the psychiatrist in room 604. I walked up the stairs, I walked in, closed the door, said, shrink, I want to kill. 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 I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. Kill. 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 And I started jumping up and down, yelling, kill. 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 Till he started jumping up and down, and we was both jumping up and down, yelling, kill. Kill. Until the sergeant came over, pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall saying, you're our boy. Things was getting worse. I was proceeding on down the hall, getting inspected, injected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. accepted, dissected, all kinds of sected. Yes, friends, things were going bad, and they was inspecting every part of me, and they was leaving no part of me untouched. Yes, friends, I was walking around, and an all-American boy from Coney Island was about to be sent to Saigon. I proceeded around, passing every kind of examination there was to pass. I passed every test I had to test me on, and the bus was waiting outside for me, and my hand was raised. They was about to swear me in, but I had to go see one more man on the list. Just one more man in the whole building at Whitehall Street. And I walked in, I sat down, I said, "Man, what do you want to see me about?" He said, "Sit down, kid. We only have one more question to ask you." Have you ever been arrested? And I proceeded to tell him the story of the Alice's Restaurant massacre, just like it happened, and he stopped me right there, and he said, "Boy, did you ever go to court?" And I commenced to tell him the story of the 278510 colored glossy pictures, and he stopped me again. He said, "Boy, I want you to go over and sit down on that bench that says Group W." Now, boy. I walked over to the bench there, and that Group W is where they put you if you may not be moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench. There was mother stabbers, mother rapers, father stabbers, father rapers, father rapers. There was father rapers sitting on a bench next to me, and one of the meanest, ugliest, nastiest, mother stabbing, mother raping, father stabbing, father rapingest of them all was coming over to me, and he looked me in the eye, and he sat down next to me, and he said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage." And the sergeant came over, and he had a piece of paper in his hand, and he held out the piece of paper, and he said, "Kids, this piece of paper's got 37 cents in it. We want to know the details of the crime, the time of the crime, and any other kind of thing. Got a slap pertaining to it about the crime. Want to know the arresting officer's name, district court she's arrested at, and any other kind of information you got pertaining to it about the crime, the court she's located at, and how many sentence you served, and a sentence." And he talked for 45 minutes, and nobody understood a word that he said, but we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there, and everybody's having a wonderful time. And I wrote down the massacre just like it happened, with the 52-piece orchestra and a 4-part harmony, and everything was just fine, and until I turned over to the other side of the piece of paper. And there on the other side of the piece of paper, all by itself in the middle of the other side, in parentheses, underlined, quotated, and capitalized, read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant. I said, "Sergeant, you've got a lot of goddamn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. You want to know. I mean, the reason that I'm sitting on a bench that says Group W is 'cause you wanna know if I'm moral enough to join the army. Burn women, kids, housing, children in villages after being a litter bug. He said, kid, we don't like your kind. We're gonna send your fingerprints off to Washington. And friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in a folder, is a study in black and white of my fingerprints. And the only reason that I'm singing you the song tonight is 'cause you may know somebody in a similar situation. You might be in a similar situation. And if you are, there may be only one thing left to do. Walk into the shrink, wherever you are, say shrink. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant and walk out. Just imagine that right now in your head, in the middle of your mind. I mean, somebody walking in, singing a bar at Alice's restaurant and walking out. Now, you wouldn't take them. But imagine two people in your head right now, walking into the same shrink at the same time, singing one bar and the same song in harmony. You may think they're both faggots and won't take either of them. But imagine three people in the head now. In your own head, right now, three people walking in, singing a bar at Alice's restaurant, walking out, and friends, they may begin to suspect that it could possibly be some kind of organization. But that's not going to do much good, just three people walking in. Or two or one person walking. Just think of a fantastic figure of 50 people. I'm talking about 50 people walking in, singing a bar at Alice's restaurant at different times on the same day to the same shrink, all singing the same verse of the same song. They're gonna suspect that it's some kind of movement. And friends, that's what it is. It's the Alice's Restaurant anti-massacre movement, and all you have to do to join is to sing it the next time it comes around on the guitar. So we're just waiting for it to come around here. Here it is. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. That was horrible. You know, if you want to end a war, you have to sing loud. And if you don't want to go, you have to sing louder. And I've been singing this song now for about a half hour. And I can sing it for another half hour, 'cause I'm not tired or proud. So we'll wait for it to come around again. This time with 4-part harmony and feeling. Here it is. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Excepting Alice, you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. At Alice's Restaurant. All right.